touched me, and now I am no longer the same. He touched me, oh, he touched me. Joy that floods my soul. Something.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Let's Talk Health. If you have been joining us from time to time, you'd have known that we meet here at least twice per month on a Tuesday night for Let's Talk Health. And for the other Tuesday nights, we have Testimony Tuesday. So welcome. Always a pleasure to have you joining us, because we have called for such a time as this. And as long as God gives us the strength, we will continue to do this until Jesus comes. As long as we're able to use these platforms, we'll continue to provide health education to make us more intelligent as it relates to diseases, their causes, prevention, and cure. So thank you for joining us. Welcome wherever you're joining us from. If it is your first time, welcome. If it is your umpteenth time, welcome. And please continue to join us. And lest I forget, we have some special announcements. We're going to be changing from our Tuesday night Let's Talk Health, and now we're going to be having Let's Talk Health on a Sunday evening at 5:30, effective September 8th. Right, so as of September 8th, that is the second Sunday in September, we're going to be going to a Sunday evening at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's when we're going to be having our health program. We will be making more announcements as time goes by. You know, life is one of constant changes. Change is the only constant that we have. Changes are taking places all over in our personal lives, with the ministry, etc. And so we have to go along with the changes when they come. So please support us on a Sunday evening. As of the second Sunday in September, we're going to be sending out the flyer and the announcements, but just thought I'd add this right now. And we do thank you for your support over the almost 3 years we have been doing this. Brother Shard, over to you, my brother.
Eternal God and Father, we just want to thank you for this opportunity. Lord, we are so grateful. We are thankful for raising up this ministry, oh Father, to accomplish your work. Heavenly Father, you said that your people perish for lack of knowledge, but we are so thankful that you have not left your people in darkness. So even as we come again tonight, oh Father, that we may learn, not to learn for ourselves, oh Father, but that we may be blessings to others, for this is our purpose, oh Father. I pray you would be with the presenter for tonight. I pray your blessings, oh Father, upon this program, and I am asking and inviting the presence of your Holy Spirit. Lord, I pray that you would cover this platform now, oh Father. And I pray, oh Father, we claim Luke 10:19, oh Father, you have given us power and authority to trample upon scorpions and upon serpents and all the powers of darkness, and nothing shall by any means harm us. So Lord, protect us. I pray you would open our understanding, and that the presentation for tonight will be made very clear, oh Father. Thank you for your blessings, and keep us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Our presenter for tonight is Camille Aiken. She is a registered dental hygienist, a registered nurse, and a gospel medical missionary. She started her career in dentistry or in her dental profession in 1998 when she joined the United States Air Force as a dental assistant. She then became a dental hygienist under a full scholarship from the U.S. Air Force. She was one of our presenters for a recently concluded medical missionary training. Tonight, she is joining us to continue sharing some of the things she has learned over the years as it pertains to the need for educating people on preventative dentistry. This is to increase the awareness of oral diseases and its link with systematic illnesses. So tonight our presenter will be looking at, as we mentioned before, dental health. Before she comes on, I'm going to turn back over to Brother Shard. And then after that, you'll be hearing from our presenter.
Okay, we are going to listen to our theme song. And after the theme song, we will hand over to our presenter.
I am the God that healeth thee. I am the Lord, your healer. I sent my word and healed your disease. I am the Lord, your healer. I am the God that healeth thee. I am the Lord, your healer. I sent my word and healed your disease. I am the Lord, your healer.
God's name is more powerful than any disease you can name tonight. You might have received a horrible report from the doctors and told you your disease is incurable. But you know what? There's hope tonight. There is hope because God's promised that He would heal us. I want you to put His word on your lips tonight. Sing His word back to Him and see if His name isn't more powerful than cancer, than heart disease, or any disease that you can name tonight. Oh yes, He's your healer. Let's sing it to Him. You are the God that healeth me.
You are the God that healeth me. You are the Lord, my healer. You sent your word and you healed my disease. You are the Lord, my healer. You are the God. You are the God that healeth me. Oh, you are the Lord. You are the Lord, my healer. You sent your word and you healed my disease. You are the Lord, my healer. You sent your word and you healed my disease. You are the Lord, my healer. You sent your word and you healed my disease. You are the Lord, my healer.
Amen. You are the God, my healer. And in Psalms 103 and verses 2 and 3, it says, Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who healeth, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases. And we know that the only hope for better things is in the education of the people in right principles. So what is disease? Disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. Now, in case of sickness, there are 4 steps that should be taken. Step number 1, the cause should be ascertained. Step number 2, unhealthful conditions should be changed. Step number 3, Wrong habit should be corrected. And step number 4, nature is be assisted in her effort to expel impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. So I will now hand over to our presenter for tonight, Sister Camille. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me this evening with you. It is truly an honor. And what Brother Sherrod just basically recite to us from the book Ministry of Healing, page 127, is something that I'm going to do again in the presentation because it is so important that we understand what disease is and how we properly address and approach it. So please do not take that for granted. If you can, memorize it. Okay, bring that to memory because it is going to really, really help as we, in whatever capacity we can, take on the medical missionary work, which we are counseled to do. So I thank every one of you that are here this evening, and I pray that you will share the information that you have with others so that they can know exactly what to do. So let me go ahead and share my screen with everyone and try to make this as impactful as possible. One thing I will ask is that you participate, okay? So let me go ahead and share my screen. Hang on, I cannot see. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes, we're.
All right, that's good. All right. Now I typically do a dental trivia, but in the interest of time, I'll probably just ask 1 or 2 questions because I really want everybody to be able to participate because it really helps me. So let me just say a word of prayer as I begin. Father in heaven, thank you again so much for giving me this opportunity to be here with everyone on this platform. Please guide my words and let them hear only your voice, dear God, as you use me as your instrument. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. So just really quickly, there's just a few of us here, so I'm not too worried about the time, but I will respect the time, I promise. So if anybody can tell me what is the hardest, if you have heard this before, me asking this question, there's going to be some that I've not asked before, but if you've heard it, don't answer. So what is the hardest substance in the human body? Anybody? Okay, that would be the enamel. I hope you guys can hear me because actually it's the enamel. Our enamel is a lot harder than our bone, but thank you for that. The participation is good. It's encouraging. Okay. All right. Anybody can tell me which animal has the most teeth? Just name an animal. Are they able to unmute? Let them be able to be on mute at this time. Anybody? Ah, snail. That's right. Somebody heard this before. That's good. Okay, let me ask a question that you've not heard. About how often should you replace your toothbrush?
Every 2 months.
Every 2 months or
3 months.
3 months.
yes,
3 months.
that's correct. Every 3 to 4 months. Now, the thing is with that, I would add something else to it besides every 3 to 4 months, is that after you get sick, you want to replace your toothbrush as well because you don't want to reinfect yourself with any germs that you have been brushing your teeth with while you were sick. So it's every 3 to 4 months or after you have been ill and recovered, okay? All right, so another question. How much force you think you exert or you put down when you like bite down on something? About how many pounds? That would be about 162 pounds. So when you're biting down or you're clenching your teeth, if you're mad and you bite your teeth down or something like that, be careful because you can actually fracture some teeth with that kind of weight when you bite down. Or if you grind your teeth at night, that's another thing you want to be mindful of as far as how to take care of it. Then you would have you would not have any problems as far as if you do fracture a tooth for that, there are ways to fix that, okay? All right, so the title today is Dental Health, the Cure is in the Cause. Now, thank you, Sister Angela, for the introduction. As a dental hygienist and a registered nurse, my ultimate desire is to help people understand their oral health. There are a lot of videos out there on dental health. However, when it comes to our medical missionary training, there's not much that I have noticed. So I have been impressed to take on this role and help people understand their dental health. There are people out there who do present on dental health, but I've been highly impressed to do this. So because unfortunately, a lot of people do not often think about the health of their mouths when it comes to their total body health. For some reason or the other, the mouth doesn't get as much attention until something has happened to them to direct their attention to their mouths. But today, I'm just going to try my best to help you to understand. So before I get into this presentation, let me just ask you a few questions. You don't have to answer, just think about the questions that I'm asking, because I'm speaking to you individually, even though I'm talking to a whole entire group on this platform. Have you ever, how many of you have ever had a dental problem before, or infection or disease with their mouth, whether it's a tooth that was decayed and it started hurting really bad, your face may have swollen up, or anything like that? Have you ever had or experienced that before? If you have not, well, that's very good. But if you have, how many of you were aware that you actually had a problem going on in your mouth before it got to the point of seeing a doctor or a dentist? Did you know if your condition or that situation that you're in, if it was preventable? Okay. And if you knew that it was preventable, did you put it off because of something else that may have come up to be more important, or because you didn't understand really what was going on? Or did you just simply ignore it until you got to a point where you can deal with it? Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is really to help us to prepare for this time that is coming upon us. We're watching what all the things that are going on around us. We know that sooner or later there's going to be rules and laws and things that's going to prevent people from moving about and doing certain things because they're not meeting up with whatever the general laws or consensuses are. We're moving into this time where it's going to be truly a time of trouble for some of us, because we may not comply with some of the things that are going on based on the dictates of our conscience. And so I want us to think about this on two parallel planes, looking at it from a dental perspective, how to deal with dental issues, but also looking at it from a preparation perspective. Did any of you lose any teeth on account of a dental disease or problem? And how much did it cost you to deal with this problem? Now, when I say cost, I'm not just talking about money, okay? I'm talking about how much money did it cost you? How much time and energy, how much sacrifice and so on did it really cost you when you really look back at the situation, or you're dealing with that situation at this time? So these are some of the things I would like for us to think about that will enable us to know how we take care of ourselves, because I'm quite sure that after having any of these experiences that I just asked you about, you became or will become more conscious as to how to better take care of yourself and even others so as to prevent going through these same experiences. This is the type of thinking that we would need to have for this coming crisis that is ahead of us. Okay? So the whole purpose of this principle is for you to be able to use it to deal with these situations in order to prevent pain, loss of money, loss of time, energy, and things like that. Is the same kind of principles that we would need to prepare for what's ahead of us. And so with that said, I just want to share with you that one of our first duty, okay, towards God is for us to actually take care of ourselves. And this is a quote that you can find in councils on diets and food. And it reads, our first duty towards God and our fellow beings. Okay, we cannot take care of other people if we are sick. In context, okay, please take that in context. Our first duty towards God and our fellow beings is that of self-development. Every faculty which the Creator has endowed us should be cultivated to the highest degree of perfection, that we may be able to do the greatest amount of good of which we are capable. Hence, that time is spent to good account, which is used in the establishment and preservation of health. Okay, we are preparing for the things that are ahead of us. Okay. Now, this preparation, okay, that we are working towards is to withstand any kind of control, because most of these things will be a form in some degree or some context of controlling the masses. And let me just read this one quote from the book Temperance, okay? Satan gathered the fallen angels together to devise some way of doing the most possible evil to the human family. One thing we want to understand is that Satan does not like us. There's a stronger word. Okay, he absolutely hates us. And when he sees us, he still sees reflections of God's image, because we were created in his image. It's just now our characters, if they have not come to that point of being 100% Christ-like, that needs to be refined, but he still sees God in us because we were created in his image. So he absolutely hates us. And because he cannot hurt God, guess what? He thinks of ways to do the most possible evil to the human family. In this meeting, one preposition after another was made till finally Satan himself thought of a plan. He would take the fruit of the vine, also wheat and other things given by God as food, and would convert them into poisons, which would ruin man's physical, mental, and moral powers, and so overcome the senses that Satan should have full control. Okay, there is a presentation called Total Onslaught, and it was talking about one of the presentations within that set series was talking about, if we control the food, we can control the people. Why? Because when we eat food, our bodies assimilate it, and then it has its different effects. Usually it's for health, but Satan now recognizes that if I can control the food and what people eat, then I can control their senses and their moral powers and have full control over them. I can cause them to become depressed. I can cause them to think that there's something that they're not. I can cause them to hurt other people. I can cause them to be insensitive. I can cause them to be sick. And I can definitely cause them and lead them to the point of death. And so this is why I include this particular quote in this presentation, because I want us to understand that it is not just dentistry, but keep in mind that we're talking about the mouth, okay? We're talking about the mouth, and a lot of things will enter our bodies via our mouth. And so we have to take care of what we do with this one little feature of our bodies. Because if there's anything, it's our mouth that really gets people into a lot of trouble, or it causes us to be a blessing to someone. Okay? And so in James 5, it says, even so, the tongue is a little member and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. Okay. And of course, the things that we eat, when you look at Genesis chapter 3, verse 17, God tells them, do not eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, because you will die if you do that. So what we eat and what we put in our bodies, okay, starts with our mouth. Unless you're on total TPN, that means that you're really, really sick, okay, and they have to feed you through an IV. You're going to be eating a lot of things, and it's going to have an effect on your brain and the rest of our bodies. So we want to be mindful of how we take care of ourselves and what we put into our bodies. There's another quote that says from the Councils of Diets and Food that the controlling power of appetite will prove the ruin of thousands, when if they had conquered on this point, they would have had moral power to gain the victory over every other temptation of Satan. Okay. Now, I know that this presentation may generate a lot of questions, and I welcome the questions, but I'm going to do my best to address them, and I may even address some of your questions as I'm presenting. So please understand that, for one, I am a dental hygienist. I'm presenting from a dental hygienist and a registered nurse perspective, and so this presentation is really from a preventive dental health perspective. But so before I go any further, let me just give you this quick disclaimer. This presentation is for providing educational purposes only and not for diagnosing nor prescribing any treatments. My goal is to help people understand the basics of dental health so that they can be empowered to advocate for themselves. This goal is to enable you to think and to know what types of questions to ask when you're confronted with a dental issue, or you are present at a dental appointment. Should you have any concerns, you would know exactly what to ask because you're thinking about it. Therefore, if you have any concerns that goes beyond my scopes of preventive education, please make sure that you consult with a professional dental therapist. That would be the equivalent of a nurse practitioner or a dentist. Okay. So, because we're talking about dental diseases, we would need to know a few things. For instance, like, what is disease? How does it affect our bodies and the various parts and so on? So please understand that disease never comes without a cause. Proverbs 26 verse 2 says that the curse causeless shall never come. So there's always a cause for something to happen, and disease is no exception. So let's start by looking at what disease actually is. Brother Sherrod actually just said it. It's on the screen. It is an effort of nature to free the system of conditions that are a result of a violation of the laws of health. Now, when it says the effort of nature, we're talking about how our bodies was created to deal with disease, having sin now as a part of our existence. And so our bodies were created in such a wonderful way that it can actually fight off disease if we approach disease the right way. But it's a violation of the laws of health. So what are the laws of health? These are they. You have pure air, sunlight, abstemiousness or temperance, rest, exercise, proper nutrition, the use of water, not just drinking water, because even when we take a shower, our body's taken in water. Okay. Trust in divine power, cleanliness, and purity of mind. Okay, now I want you to keep in mind that these are the laws that govern how our bodies function. Our body actually need these things in order to function properly. So you can think of laws and needs as the same thing. If you don't have water, you're going to get to a point where you need to drink water. So laws and health you can see them on the same plane. Okay, they're given by the same creator who gave us the 10 moral laws. And so when we violate any of these laws, it's actually just as bad as breaking any of the 10 commandments. I know that can be pretty harsh, but you can read that in the book Healthful Living, page 17. Now, keep in mind that these are just laws, and it is very important that we follow them. However, there are several dimensions, okay? Or should I say, contributing factors that influences the violation of these laws that you're looking at on the screen. Okay, and these dimensions actually ensures the the existence of disease in the human body. Okay, so to make this a little bit clearer, these dimensions to disease are pretty much how these laws of health are actually being violated. Okay, now let me just show you a little, some of them. Okay, there are about 12 to 13 of them. These are some. When someone is stressed out, can you see how they would be sick? Okay, they may forget something. They may get so overwhelmed and they're stressed, and those neurotransmitters that the brain is putting out is negative, and so their body will get sick. When we are exposed to toxins, whether it's from the food or from the environment, this can actually make us sick, especially if we're sick and we are stressed out and we're exposed to toxins and we're not temperate, then guess what? We're going to be sick. All right, mind, character, and personality. Ignorance is another thing that can ensure that we are violating the laws of health. Because if you don't understand how to use water, if you don't understand the importance of sunshine, which I'm sure you know by this point, vitamin D, but there are other things for getting sunshine. The sunshine is actually a natural vasodilator, so it can actually help lower your blood pressure, believe it or not. And so ignorance is the dimension that I'm going to be mainly focusing on for this presentation. And there are a lot more. There's just a lot more of these dimensions. This is just like maybe 4 of them out of 12 to 13 of them. Okay. Now, because of ignorance, okay, some or even a lot of people will mostly rely on only what their current medical and dental system tells them until they become so desperate from the effect of the disease that anything will sound good to them as a solution. Okay, so whenever a person gets so sick, they're going to go to the doctor and the doctor's going to tell them, take these medications, and they're going to take the medications because they don't know that there are other ways of healing their illness. Okay, Brother Sherrod already talked about how we approach it, and we're going to get to that in a second to see how it all ties in. The problem with this type of thinking, as far as, oh, I just want somebody else to tell me what to do. That's what the doctors are for. And so we just go and ask them or accept medications when drugs never really cure anything. Okay, keep in mind that the healthcare system is not really healthcare, it's sick care. That's a quotation that I got from a just listening to another doctor. It's really sick care, because more than one doctors are saying this now, because they maintain you in a state of sickness. Because if they were to cure your condition, then how much work will they have eventually if that's really the objective? You understand what I'm saying? So this problem, the problem is that some of these solutions, whether it's medications or doing odd things, would only be temporary. And sometimes this can make the situation for their illness become so complicated that at times it can be very difficult to treat when it comes to, okay, let me try something natural. Okay. Oftentimes, a lot of the lifestyle centers or retreats are when people are super sick and they really, really now need to get the help, and they decide to go natural. Let natural be your first option for all of us. Let us start thinking, how can I do this? So knowledge and prevention are keys to promoting health. This means that prevention should take first place. But if it is not, then there are ways to get a solution that will ultimately glorify God so that we can stay healthy, okay? There are lots of ways. So if disease treatment must be sorted after, that may lead to restorative care, or it could lead to advanced options. That's good. However, we must become like a detective of sorts in order to make the right decision. Now, when I say detective, this is what I pretty much mean. Okay, a detective is someone who is faced with something, okay, and they ask a lot of questions. And these questions predominantly start with the words why and how come. Why do I feel so sick right now? Why do I have a headache right now? You know, is it because I didn't get enough rest? Or is it because I didn't drink enough water? You can see where the laws of health will come in, because once we identify which law is being violated, then we can actually go towards the cure. So the cure is in the cause. What was the cause? That's where you start curing. Okay. Now, I'm not here just to give you information. I'm here to also encourage you to think and ask questions as I go through this with you. And I'm very interested in your questions. So, a detective is someone who thinks about what they're facing with, what they're handling, what they're dealing with. Think about it. This is exactly what Jesus wants. He wants us to study the Bible, read it, understand it, or, and then ask questions. Well, why does this happen? Okay. How what more explanation can I learn? And then we start going off on exploring. A detective is someone whose interest is awakened by some event and wants an explanation so that they can make an informed decision. When you go to the hospital, you're there to sign an informed consent. And sometimes they have you sign the consent before you're even informed. And so you really, really want to make sure that you are fully informed that there are other ways to deal with things. And we need to get to that point of thinking like that so that we can fully understand it. To what? To prevent this from happening to ourselves or to someone else. Now, these are just some of the many diseases that all diseases have a direct connection with the systemic disease. Okay. I pretty much go a lot more into this in the training that I'm pretty much working on right now. Hopefully it'll be finished by the end of September. But I'm not going to go over all of these things, but these are just some of them. And I've added 2 more to it since my last talk on this, which was Sunday, because I'm constantly reading and studying this connection and looking at what's out there. But let me just give you a few background on how much the cost is for ignoring a dental condition that essentially leads into a systemic condition, or make a systemic condition very difficult to deal with, or makes it cause it to become worse or stay there because the dental part is not being taken care of. Now, did you know that nearly half of the adult in the US have gum disease, and about 90% of adults 20 years and older have at least cavities in one tooth? When these conditions are left untreated, the outcome is way more than just losing a tooth as the worst case scenario. As a matter of fact, the cost of dental care in the US have gone up by 30% in the last 20 years. This is per person. And as a matter of fact, in 2018, the annual cost of dental care in the US alone was $136 billion. This makes up about 3.7% of the country's total healthcare spending. $136 billion only makes up 3.7% of the total healthcare spending. Now, what happened to the other 96.3%? How much are we really spending on healthcare in a country that promotes health? Emergency dental care, untreated dental issues, or unplanned dental care accounts for about $45 billion in productivity annually. This means that because somebody cannot go to work, it costs annually $45 billion loss in productivity. This is because of untreated dental disease. Keep in mind that this is all most of it is based on ignorance, not understanding, because in 2017, 2.1 million emergency room visits were dental related. Now, why would you go to the dental emergency room for a dental related problem? What are they going to do? They don't have any drills or anything there. There's no dentist in the hospital. They're just going to give you some antibiotics, which is going to affect your liver, affect your kidneys, and everything else. And so ignorance really, really is a major, major dimension of disease. Okay. There's more to this, but this is a serious issue. This is a more serious issue than you can think, yet people do not pay too much attention to their oral health. Let me just give you a quick background on some of the things that's going on inside of our mouth. Our mouth has up to 900 different types of bacteria living in it. Okay, types, not the amount. Okay, not taking care of our teeth or our oral health wreaks havoc on the entire body, and you'll see why in a little bit. And that you can actually prevent a lot of illnesses with proper oral hygiene. And it's not just dental health illnesses, but total body health illnesses from proper oral hygiene and regular dental visits as needed. Okay. Now, some people are like, well, what if you can't go to the dentist during that time? This is why you want to do it now and get a understanding or a status of where you are in your dental health. Okay. All right. Just a little bit of fact before I get deep into this. Dental oral diseases affect nearly 3.5 billion people worldwide. Okay, that's almost half of the world population, with untreated tooth decay or dental caries or cavities ranking first among 328 diseases in the Global Burden of Disease study in 2017. Okay, this is the latest that we have. In 2019, untreated dental cavities or tooth decay in the permanent teeth is the most common health condition according to the Global Burden of Health. This has a lot to do with ignorance or indolence or just simply ignoring the problem that's there and not understanding how this really, really affects the rest of the body. All right. Today, globally, there's an estimate of 2 billion people that suffers from cavities of the permanent teeth, and 514 million children suffer from cavities of their primary teeth. Now, this information on children is very, very important because children cannot take themselves to the dental clinic. And when they complain about something wrong with their mouth or they're having pain, this is one of the reasons why there's ignorance, because people would just ignore it. Some people would ignore it, or they can't afford it, or they're in some kind of situation where they cannot go. And this is why we need knowledge and knowing how to take care of it. You have public health facilities that can aid in this. And there's a lot more things out there for children. In addition, dental cavities is the most preventive disease known. It is the most preventive disease known, yet it is #1 on the list of global disease, burden of global diseases. Okay. And these are just some of the oral diseases that are out there. Okay, you have cavities, gum disease or periodontal disease, tooth loss, oral cancer, oral facial cleft, dental trauma, and that's one reason why people will go to the emergency room, which is good, which is acceptable. Cleft lip and cleft palate, and noma. Noma is a gangrenous type of disease starting in the mouth, and it primarily affects malnourished children between the age of like 6 and 9, and then they live with this for the rest of their life. It's a polymicrobial, which means many different kinds of microbial organisms that's affecting that leads to fatal sepsis, where the whole entire body is infected and it cannot fight it off. Okay, you usually see this condition in third world or poverty-stricken countries. Okay, so let me just take a quick look at children. This is going to be very brief. You also have, I'm going to look at some of the anatomy. I'm not going to go too much into it because of the time. And maybe one disease that dental health or dental diseases affects negatively. And then we're going to look over some oral hygiene, okay? But before I go into that, this is one quote that I thought was very helpful. And it reads, "A practical knowledge of the science of the human life or the human body is necessary in order to glorify God in our bodies. It is therefore of the highest importance that among the studies selected for childhood, physiology should occupy first place." And there's another place that we read, this is from the book Healthful Living, page 13. Another thing that we read is that we should actually teach children from infancy how to take care of their bodies, by the things that we do with them and how we help them to take care of their bodies. So if you have grandchildren, teach them how to brush their teeth. Talk to them about flossing now. Show them how to do. Give them the floss and let them try it for themselves as we do that, as they're in our presence. Okay. Now this is just a picture showing what a child's oral anatomy looks like. You have a cute little boy. Actually, you can't see that. I'm looking at my other screen. You have this face of a child. Okay, they have about 20 deciduous or baby teeth or primary teeth. And right under it, the blue is their permanent teeth that's coming in. Okay, and eventually the baby teeth will shed and they will fall out, and you see when they actually come in. Okay. The third molars are your wisdom teeth. You don't have it on the screen here, but they usually come in around 17, the age of 17. Okay, but these teeth are actually already formed when a mom is pregnant at only 12 weeks. Sometimes that's at the end of the first trimester, and sometimes people don't even know that they're pregnant during that time, and the teeth are already formed. Okay, these are just some things that I definitely want to encourage people to pay attention to when it comes to children's dental health, and that we want to introduce dental care to them when they are very young, even from when they're babies, okay? So we want to clean their gums with a clean and moist rag after each feeding. That's either breastfeeding or from the bottle. Just keep their gums clean and let them get into the habit of cleaning up after themselves. This is very important. Okay, never allow a child to fall asleep with a bottle, especially with juice, milk, or any liquid with sugar, because this is the main cause of baby bottle tooth decay. All right, and always be involved with your child's dental health without scaring them or forcing them. Now, when children are going through that phase of transitioning from a child into teenager, they seem to think that they know a lot of things. As parents, we need to still be there with them because their brain is still developing. It's not fully developed until they're about 30. And so we have to remind them and keep encouraging them as they go through these kind of transitions without us becoming impatient or being angry and making them not want to take care of their bodies. Okay, so let's be encouraging to the children. And then we also want to remember that dental cavities are the most preventive disease for children, and yet it is entirely preventable. This is just a picture of a mom who was taking a antibiotic called tetracycline. Within the first trimester, it was the benefits apparently outweighs the risk, and she took the antibiotics, and it actually messed up her child's permanent teeth. Remember that it's already developed. And so if the child is, if the mom is sick and she's taking certain kinds of antibiotics, it can actually affect the permanent teeth. Okay. Now, okay, I'm not going to go through that slide. Let's just take a look at tooth anatomy. Let's just take a look. Now, if you've seen this picture before, please do not answer the question. Just looking at these two pictures, which one of these you think has a disease going on? Just either type top or bottom in the chat, or just tell me. Which one you think has disease going on in this person's mouth? Is anybody there? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, but we cannot speak, chat.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. I see someone said the bottom.
The top.
Okay. And somebody said the top. Now, if you guys can just respect when I'm talking, if I'm not asking any questions, just to keep really quiet and keep yourself muted, but please allow them to interact. Now, somebody said the top. Now, I'm going to tell you that both of these pictures shows completely healthy teeth and gums, both of them. Okay, and this is one of the things why I think it's so important to go through the dental health, because as part of the medical missionary work, because a lot of people don't know what health looks like in the mouth until it's painful. But sometimes you can see things that are happening before it gets to the point of being painful. Both of them are actually healthy. The bottom one is, if you think it's because of the black coloring on the gums, it's actually just pigmentation. Just like you have different complexion of people, some are darker, some are lighter. You actually see the pigmentation on the gums as well. Okay, and this is somebody who is more than likely very dark. If you look at the bottom right corner of the teeth, you see that this is a very dark-skinned person. And so they have the pigmentation on their gums. On the top, you have three different actually parts of your gums. You have the alveolar mucosa, which is just a soft tissue, like right up under your lip. You have the attached mucosa that looks like orange peel if you dry it off. Okay, and this is perfectly normal. Now, for some people who, if you know anyone who has had like breast cancer, there's a type of breast cancer that makes the breast look like orange peel. Now, that is not a healthy thing. If your breast looks like orange peel and you are having pain, then that is a serious condition that needs to be addressed right away. However, on the attached gingiva, it actually looks like orange peel, and that's perfectly healthy. So it's to know what to look for. And then, of course, you have the marginal gingiva, which we're going to talk about a little bit more. These are just some of the different parts of the mouth, and they're pretty important. Okay, but I'm not going to really break down these things here. The salivary glands, they're there to help you. They're very important. You have 3 sets of them. You have the parotid, which is right by the ear. And this is when this is the salivary gland that is infected when a person has mumps. If you remember ever having mumps as a child and they tie that white rag around your head, that's what was actually infected. Okay, you have the submandibular gland, which are, they put out more of like your sticky, gooey type of saliva. And then you have the sublingual gland. Now, if anybody in here knows what gleeking is, this is when somebody is talking and saliva just shoots out of your mouth. That's the one that's being activated. Some people can do it naturally just by doing it. And I think that can be pretty uncomfortable if they're doing that to you just for fun. My sister does that to me sometimes. I think it's odd. Okay, but your saliva plays a very important part with the enzyme production. Okay, it's called amylase, and it actually helps to break down any kind of sugar or carbohydrates that you're eating. It helps to keep the mouth moist, and it actually helps with you tasting your food so you can swallow it. But talking more about tasting your food, that's really coming from your tongue. And that lingual frenum is what will cause, if it comes up towards the tip of the tongue, is what will cause somebody to become tongue-tied and they won't be able to talk or nurse properly. Now, you have taste buds on your tongue, but your tongue also communicates with your stomach. That tells your stomach, hey, we have fats coming down or we have carbohydrates coming down. So go ahead and start releasing those type of substances in the stomach so that when it comes down, you can finish the breaking down of the food in your stomach. Okay, your teeth, they are actually very, very important. Okay, they're for chewing properly. It aids in that speaking properly and pronouncing our words. It gives structure and support and shape to our face. When someone loses their teeth, what happens is they lose a certain part of the bone in their mouth and their face just literally just sinks in. Okay, if there's no teeth, that part of the bone around the teeth would not be there. They come in 2 sets. You have the deciduous and the permanent, or your primary or baby teeth and your permanent teeth. Children will have 20 teeth. Adults is 30 teeth. Okay, some may have more, some may have less, depending on if there's any anomalies. And then there are several types. You have your incisors, your canine, and your molars, which are your premolar and your molar that you chew with. Okay. Now, this is more of a more specific look at the actual tooth structure. I really want you to pay attention to the crown of the tooth, which is made up of the dentin and the enamel. And then the live part of the tooth is your pulp. This is very, very important. Why? Because the pulp is where your nerves and your blood vessels and your arteries are. This is what makes the tooth alive. Okay? You also have your gums and your the roots of the tooth, which is mostly the dentin that continues down into the bone or the alveolar bone. And you have your periodontal ligaments. These are what anchors your tooth to the bone and to the cementum. I really, really want to take a look. I want us to take a look at this pulp again, because this is where your blood vessels are. So if you have an infection in the tooth that reaches the pulp, guess what? That infection is now running through your whole entire body. This is why certain conditions can become a problem in fixing. But I do want to share one thing with you. Our teeth are actually very hard. It is the hardest substance in our body. And as a matter of fact, it's harder than iron nail. According to Moore's Health Hardness Scale, it's the nail is 4.5 and enamel is actually 5. So we want to be really, really mindful that our teeth are pretty hard. Okay. Now, when you look at the dentin and the enamel, this is going to do a lot with your oral hygiene and what you actually use to brush your teeth. Our enamel are a lot lighter in color than the dentin, okay? The dentin is more yellowish in color. And I say this because when you're using things to brush your teeth to make your teeth white, if you're brushing away your enamel, you're going to defeat the purpose of getting white teeth, because your dentin will eventually start to show through that thin enamel and your teeth will become a lot more sensitive. If you can see the lines on the tooth, these are called dental tubules, and that is where the sensation goes from your mouth to the nerves of your teeth. So you can feel hot and cold sensation on your teeth. This is just another picture of what the dentin looks like. It's yellowish in color, and then there's the enamel. Now, this is somebody who obviously grinds down their teeth and they don't have the enamel covering the dentin, and so their teeth may become more sensitive. However, because our body is so fearfully and wonderfully made, the pulp will actually close off those tubules. I'll show you that later on. So when it comes to dental diseases, that starts within the mouth, okay? There are, like I said, 900. I need to fix that because it's actually 900 different types of bacteria or microorganisms in the mouth, okay? Give me 1 second here. I don't like this. I'm going to fix this right in front of you guys. Give me a second. Okay, let me just go back to this. Okay, there are up to 900 different types of microorganism in the mouth. So let's just look at what a healthy mouth looks like, okay? The oral flora is in a balanced state, just like your gut biome. Your oral flora is in a balanced state. You eat food, oral hygiene is done on a regular basis. You go to the dentist, you know how what your oral health status is. The mouth is happy and the body is happy and healthy. But what if that's not the case? Okay, then disease is going to come in. So let's just take a look at how we actually approach disease. First, we want to find out, what is the cause? Why am I having a toothache right now? Most people know why they have a toothache. It's because they have a cavity. However, if it was ignored or they didn't know that they have a cavity and know that this is highly preventable and how to prevent it, you're still going to have to find out what is the cavity, what is the cause of the toothache. Okay, then we're going to want to change unhealthful condition. You're going to have to go to the doctor and get that taken care of. That's the unhealthful condition. That's where the dentist comes in. Okay, because you're going to need that. Whether you go to the ER or to the dentist, you're going to have to get that situation changed immediately. The ER, again, is only going to give you antibiotics because they realize that this infection is now spreading throughout your body, and they just give you something to curb that infection that's taking place in the blood. The third thing that we want to do is to correct wrong habits. Once the unhealthful condition is changed, then you want to make sure that you're following good oral hygiene practices such as brushing, flossing, and keeping your teeth clean and keeping the source or the cause of the disease at bay. And then you will assist nature. This is where you start using certain things in your mouth to alleviate the pain until you can get to the dentist, or you learn now, you're learning that you need to brush your teeth. So you start brushing your teeth with things that will help keep brushing and rinsing with things that will help you reestablish health. Okay. Looking at dental cavities, the main thing is plaque and biofilm. Plaque is really just a sticky film that is constantly forming on our teeth. It's made up of different types of microorganisms, including bacteria. You have some fungus because Candida is also in the mouth as well. It's when these things become opportunistic because of poor oral hygiene, then they cause problems. What they do, they feed off sugar. That's their primary source of food. Okay, they feed off sugar. When they eat something, they excrete something else, which is acids, and this is what breaks down the enamel. Okay, the biofilm, it's used interchangeably. It's just a well-organized community of bacteria that causes a problem. Now, when it comes to tooth decay, Streptococcus mutans are the major bacterium that is closely associated with tooth decay. These are some really intelligent bacteria, but this is what plaque looks like. It's sticky, and it's actually the Streptococcus mutant that has this glue type consistency that it releases and keeps everything together with all the other bacteria. Okay, if you look at picture number 2, this pink film, that is called biofilm. So plaque is a type of biofilm in the mouth. You have biofilm anywhere where you have sitting water and it's not being cleaned. This is just what we call this. We use disclosing agents that will actually show you where the plaque is sitting on your teeth. As a hygienist, we typically use this mostly for children to show them how they can brush their teeth so they can keep the plaque off and teach them pretty much oral hygiene instructions. But this picture 1 that's a whole lot of plaque sitting on somebody's teeth. So if you're running your tongue over your teeth and it's gritty, please understand that that is actually plaque sitting on your teeth with food debris. Okay, so you definitely want to brush if you feel that. This is just another picture to show the amount of plaque sitting on a child's teeth. The Streptococcus mutant, it makes up about 60% of the adult oral flora. These things are some clever little bacteria, that thrive. They thrive on sugar, and they produce acid on the teeth, and they destroy the enamel. Okay, and it's unnoticeable at first because the cavity is unnoticeable at first because, for one, you cannot feel it. It's in the enamel. And what happened is it's just going to keep going until it gets to the pulp. And by the time it gets to the pulp, it's been there for a while. And now you're feeling the pain. So you really, really want to make sure you know what your oral hygiene status is. Once it gets into the pulp, it develops into an abscess, and then more complications take place. This is just a picture of what the different stages of cavities are. It's in the enamel, it gets into the dentin, and then it goes right into the pulp. You have an infection in the lively part of your teeth, the blood. And so guess what? You have an abscess, and it spreads throughout your whole entire body, and it puts you in an emergency situation. These are just some pictures of what cavities look like. And some people are out there, and because they're so ignorant of what cavities are, or ignorant, or they cannot afford to go, they stay with this. But there are things out there, there are entities out there that can help people with cavities. They are called public health facilities. Please check with your public health facilities. If you're in the United States, if you're in another country listening in, please find out if they have public health and ask them if they have dental care there, because that is a part of public health. Okay, understanding that the World Health Organization has already addressed this. Every single nation should have public health that provides dental care to some degree. Okay, these are just some really, really pictures that you can see on people out there. Now, I want you to look at the first picture. This is a child's tooth, a child's mouth. If you look at those two front teeth in the front, they are rotten all the way to the pulp, and you can actually see the pulp in that picture. You cannot imagine the amount of pain this child is in. Okay, children are very vulnerable, elderly adults who depend on someone else to ensure good health and dental health. They're very vulnerable. And I've had a child with this same condition, and I remember staying in the dental clinic until 8 o'clock at night, coordinating. This is when I worked on the reservation, actually, in the Indian reservation, coordinating to have someone to take them to the OR, the operating room, the very next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I knew that child was in a lot of pain. When I saw the child a week later, he smiled and he's like, I'm not in any pain anymore. He couldn't talk the first time I saw him. And it makes your work worthwhile. Okay? If it is left untreated, if a cavity is left untreated, it can lead to an airway emergency, especially if it's on the lower tooth. Okay? Or even if it's on the top, because the roots actually goes up into the sinuses and it goes down in the neck. And so this is called Ludwig angina. And this is what it pretty much looks like. Here you have a tooth that is decayed, and the infection goes right into the pulp. And so an abscess and a place of least resistance is where the infection is going to want to go. And so you have it goes down to the apex or the tip of the roots to get out of the body. And so it actually closes off. You run the risk of closing off the airway. And that is a dental emergency. That's actually an airway emergency, okay? Where they have to intubate someone and keep the airway open. And that's a whole lot of, that's a big experience to go through. You don't want to go through that. Okay, let me see are there any questions here at this time? Anybody? Angela, how am I doing on time?
Well, because we're going to need to have the questions after. So you could just wrap up now. We'll take the questions after.
Okay. So, would it be okay for me to talk really quickly about diabetes?
Absolutely. You can just talk about it and how it connects, because maybe a lot of people might not know that
Okay.
that health could affect that.
All
So,
right. All right. So I'm going to skip through this pop quiz, okay? And then this is a very good picture for you to see, because when I was talking about those lines in the tooth, these are called dental tubules. If you can see those fluid-filled tubules, this is pretty much where you have that white, that yellow on the odontoblast, and it goes right into those fluid fills. They're actually filled with fluid. And this is where you feel the sensation when you have like a sensitivity like to cold or to air. Part of the root is exposed, and so the sensation goes right to the nerves very quickly. Now I'm going to put this out there for you. When someone does a root canal and they take out all those blood vessels and all of those nerves, guess what? They cannot fill those tubules. And if there's any kind of bacteria that came into the tooth from the cavity, they're going to be inside that tubule. So a root canal is not really the best approach, okay, when it comes to that, because if there's infection going on, guess what? You're not going to feel it, and your body will continually be sick. Okay, so you just want to think about that when it comes to those things and knowing what options to take. All right, there's a new form of dentistry that I just learned about earlier today, just looking at some things, and it is amazing. But you're going to have to bring me back somehow or join the training that I'm setting up so you can know exactly how to take care of these things. All right, so let me skip through this. Okay. Gum disease. When it comes to periodontal disease, you're looking at not the tooth itself, but everything that surrounds and supports the teeth in the bone. So you have your gums, your periodontal ligaments, your bone, and your cementum. Okay, the alveolar bone. If you lose a tooth, then that bone is gone. All right. So the periodontal disease come in two stages. You have gingivitis, where the gums become inflamed, they get red and swollen. They start to bleed, and sometimes when you floss your gums, if you're not careful, you can actually slit your gums and cause bleeding. But a lot of times it's because there's an open wound on the gums. So if your gums are bleeding and you're flossing, you're going to rupture those wounds and bleeding is going to take place. There's an open wound. Now the bacteria has access to your bloodstream. However, the bone is still intact. All you need is pretty much to get this plaque and tartar off the tooth. This was something that I had here to show you what it looks like. You have the tartar on the tooth on the top, and that's what it looks like when it's removed. This is somebody with periodontal disease. How do I know that? The gums are at the right height and you're not seeing any root exposed, okay? All right, so gum disease then, going into the second phase, which is periodontitis, which is inflammation of the supporting structures, you are having a full-fledged war that's going on. Now, I'm going to skip to the next picture so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? Here you have the gums that sits up against the tooth. You have tartar and you have plaque and a whole lot of bacteria sitting there. There's open wound because that tartar is irritating the gums. When you floss, you rupture that wound, and now the bacteria gets into the bloodstream and your white blood cells goes there to fight off that bacteria. However, it cannot do that. So what your body does, if you can see the smooth round top of that bone is perfectly healthy, but if your body cannot remove that tartar, it cannot remove the source of bacteria. It cannot heal the wound if there's a constant bacteria getting into the body and irritating the gums from the tartar. It's like you're working on sand pebbles, okay? It's going to irritate your gums. And so what do? Irritate your gums, and your gums cannot deal with it. It's almost like you have a sand pebble in your shoe. It's going to irritate your foot. So what would you naturally do? You would naturally take your shoe off. So what your body does, it actually starts to extract the tooth on its own. It starts breaking down the bone because now you have this communication from the white blood cells telling other cells in your body, hey, look, we cannot fight this off. So let's just go ahead, activate the osteoclast, break down the bone, extract the tooth. Even if there's absolutely nothing wrong with that tooth itself, it's a different set of bacteria that's causing this problem out of the 900 different species. This is just another picture looking at it. And this is pretty much, you want to understand that when the bone starts going down, this is where you also have the gums forward, and then you would have recession. These are just some examples of what causes recession of your teeth. I'm not going to really go too much into this because I want to get to this particular connection. This is just a picture of what's going on. You have gingivitis is number one, and then you have periodontitis taking place where the body is now actually extracting the tooth on its own, even if the tooth does not have any cavities. Okay, diabetes. 1 in 3 people are pre-diabetic. There's about 98 million Americans that have pre-diabetes. And guess what? 8 out of 10 of them do not even know that they have it. All right. These are just the demographics of where most of the diabetes are. Most of them are in the southern states. All right. These are just some of the health risks for diabetes. It damages your eyes, your kidneys. It causes heart disease, contributes to heart disease, and it can lead to amputation. Okay. These are just some of the possible signs of a person being diabetic. Understanding that when you look at this, you probably have mood changes, okay? Unexplained weight loss can be other signs of other illnesses. You could have excessive hair or acne that could be a hormonal issue. Skin tags is another one. So you definitely just want to go ahead and get that A1C blood test to show if you are truly pre-diabetic or diabetic, okay? Now, diabetes, when it comes to diabetes and periodontal disease, I actually call this a tag team disease process. Why? Because you have the bacteria that is going into a bloodstream that has high sugar because of uncontrolled sugar. Okay? High sugar contents because of uncontrolled sugar. Why? Because of insulin resistance. Insulin is not taking the sugar and putting it into the cell. Why? Because the cell membrane may be covered with fat and cholesterol, or something is wrong where the insulin cannot get the sugar into the cell and out of the blood. So when the bacteria now gets access to the bloodstream, guess what? They're having a buffet all day, all night long. And so what does it do? It makes diabetes even harder to control because you have all these bacteria floating around the body. Okay, there was one lady that I took care of as a nurse. She had her foot, her ankle, from her ankle down, amputated. And I'm looking at this lady and I'm giving her, when I went in and got the report, I'm giving her some heavy duty medication such as metronidazole or Flagyl, vancomycin, penicillin or Zosyn. These are some really strong antibiotics for one person on a scheduled basis. Why? Because they know that there's a source of bacteria already in her body that is feeding off the sugar from her uncontrolled diabetes, and they don't want that post-surgical site to become infected. So they pump her with all this heavy-duty antibiotics. What is going on with her liver? What is going on with her kidneys with all of these heavy-duty antibiotics? And then at the same time, she can pretty much get whatever it is that she eats, a diabetic, but they give you sandwiches at night to keep your blood sugar at the right place. It is not a good system, okay, to do those kind of things. Remember this picture? You have, this picture where the bacteria is constantly entering her mouth. When I look at this, when I looked at her and I realized what was going on, I said, let me take a look at your mouth, because my background is dentistry. It's dental hygiene. And when I saw her mouth, this is exactly what it looks like. Okay. And like I said, it's a tag team. I just explained how it actually does that. You have poor glycemic control, high blood sugar, you're eating, you're feeding the bacteria in your mouth, they have access to your bloodstream, and it just keeps going on in a circle. This is what the x-rays would look like. Okay, you can see the bone loss around that area, and it becomes very, very difficult to treat unless all of this is taken off. I informed her to go and get herself taken care of, but maybe like 3 or 4 months later, I'm working on a step down cardiac floor, and that is where she was, on that floor. Okay, I'm going to skip through this and get to this part, the oral hygiene instruction. It is very, very important that we brush, floss, and rinse our mouth out with something that will help remove these things and keep our mouth clean. Please consider those who have dexterity skills with their hands, poor hand skills, and you want to help them with that. This includes children and older people. You can use an electronic toothbrush. Make sure you have proper denture care, and then you also want to make sure that you find out what your dental status is. You only brush the teeth that you want to keep. Okay, this is what it should look like: 45 degrees towards the gums, because you're cleaning within that space between the gum and the tooth. And that's what it looks like in that sulcus area. These are the areas that you want to clean, not just your teeth, but your tongue, because you have halitosis and it holds bacteria, your cheeks, your roof of your mouth, and make sure that you keep your area clean. When it comes to flossing, people will floss up to here because they don't want to go any further because they're afraid their gums are going to bleed. That is exactly where you need to floss, is right up under the gums, right all the way up there without cutting your gums. Remember this picture? That's the area that you're cleaning. If you have any kind of bleeding, you still need to clean it to get that plaque off your teeth. If there's tartar, you're going to have to get it professionally cleaned. And so you want to make sure that you're getting up under the gums to clean that area to prevent any kind of bleeding, because if you have bleeding, you're going to give the bacteria access to your bloodstream. Let me just skip through some. These are just some simple remedies that you want to do. There's a simple mouth rinse here that I got from Dr. Axe. Simple things. Okay. You can do coconut oil pulling. You can do natural toothpastes, chewing sticks. Use non-wax dental floss, because you can leave the bacteria, the residue of the wax under your gums. That's just a simple mouth rinse that you can use. Now I'm gonna this is pretty much where I'm gonna stop here. Are there any questions? I know that was pretty fast and I skipped through a lot of stuff, but I really want to respect the time. So I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. And yes, the time is far.
Sorry.
But it has been such an excellent presentation. And you know, this one is just, it's necessary because we do many different health presentation, and yet we tend to forget about dental health. We do on every other topic, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it. But normally you don't find presentations on dental health. So it is so important to have this presentation. I know we have taken a much longer time tonight, but we're so grateful to you for this presentation. And if there is more that you did not get to share with us, then we could invite you back, because I would like to hear the full presentation. And another thing too, because dental health or oral care is so expensive living in Canada. That's one thing people do not have access to, especially if they do not work and if their employers do not provide that service in terms of benefit, I should say. They cannot access healthcare. And I've seen people walking around, even at church on Sabbath. I saw this gentleman, and his mouth is in a condition like one of those photos that you have shown.
Oh
And
my.
and I'm saying to myself, this is Canada. And so when you believe, people in other countries believe this is North America, people would have good oral health, but people can't afford it, so they don't even go to the dentist. It is costly. So these presentations are so important. Thank you again. And one of the questions in the chat is, if there's anything that can be done about receding gum line, I'd like you to answer that. And if anybody else has a question, then definitely we could take that question also. And for me, my question is, can you be grinding without being aware that you're grinding at nights? Because I know the dentist said that it's possible that you're grinding without even knowing.
Right.
So Georgia, I did see your hand. You can ask a question. Then there's a question in the chat. There's just so many
I'm sorry.
questions. Yes.
Okay, that was my question that I wrote in the chat. Is there anything that can help or correct receding gums?
Okay.
Yes, absolutely yes. Now, one thing I want is, let me go back. Let me go back to that slide really quickly here. I know there's a lot, I didn't even get to touch on half the things I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. You guys can invite me and I'll gladly come back.
We'll be happy to have you back.
Okay, so this is the slide that I want to look at. Okay, now when it comes to receding gums, there are several ways that you have to think about it. Remember that when what's causing the gums to recede is the fact that you have bone loss. Okay, bone loss, or like I said, crowding or grinding your teeth. When you're crowding and grinding your teeth, you're putting a lot of pressure. When you think about orthodontic care, which is part of the training that I'm working on, you have to put pressure on the teeth, and that's what's going to cause the tooth to shift. And when that tooth is shifting, it's going to break down bone to accommodate where the pressure really is, to build up where the pressure is. So it's very interesting to understand what's going on when you're moving teeth. Now, and this is why you would have receding gums. There are ways to fix that, as far as you can actually get a night guard. If you're grinding your teeth and clenching your teeth, you can get a night guard, which actually it's like a shock absorber, but it's tailor made for your mouth. It's not something you want to go into the store and buy, like those mouth guards or whatever. That's not going to work. And then that will actually help stop that recession. Because of the bone loss, once you lose the bone, you will not get that bone back unless you actually go in and have a cadaver bone or some kind of bone replacement. It's actually a surgical procedure, okay? You can actually have that procedure done where they put bone there, and it will actually assimilate itself to the blood supply there, and then they will actually take, what happens is they'll actually take tissue from the roof of your mouth and lay it over where the recession is, over the bone that they packed in, and just watch your body heal. And you can have that recession fixed. It's almost like cosmetic surgery to fix something. Okay, I've assisted in a lot of that. My specialty mainly then, and my favorite part of dentistry was periodontics, and that's where I spent most of my time in dentistry. And then of course, when I became a dental hygienist, that's really what I worked with the periodontist. I worked alongside with the periodontist. So so that's one way to actually get the full length of your gums back. Now, wherever you are, you can actually stop the gums from receding by stopping the bone loss. So you have to really pay close attention to the amount of plaque on your teeth and prevent that from building up so that you will not have any more bone loss. And then you can decide if you want to go get that surgery done. Okay, but please remember that whenever somebody is putting bone in your mouth, you want to know where it is coming from. Okay, just making sure. Okay, just make sure you know where it's coming from. I can go a little bit more into that, but hopefully that answered your question.
Mhm. That sounds funny to get that bone replacement and getting it from a different source. That sounds scary. Okay, any more questions? And
We don't
yes,
want to scare anybody because you can do it. It doesn't, you just have to know where it is, and you have options where you would be okay with it.
another question as well. My question is, can you be grinding without being aware that you're grinding your teeth at night?
Say that again.
Can you be grinding without being aware that you're grinding at night?
Yes. Oh, yes. My son, he's young. He would be sleeping and I would hear him grinding his teeth. And when I lay next to him, I literally have to hold his jaw for him to stop grinding. Okay. And usually people are grinding mostly because they're either stressing over something. Not sure what my son is stressing about, maybe his schoolwork or something, but I literally have to watch him. And that's where a mouth guard, a night guard will come in to help with the shock absorber. So you're not really putting a whole lot of pressure and grinding down at the actual enamel, because you can actually grind down the enamel and expose the dentin as well. So ask for a night guard if you know that if your hygienist or your dentist tell you that you're grinding, they should automatically offer you, I would expect, a night guard. And it takes time to get used to that.
Okay, and Erica was asking. Hey, Erica, welcome. Erica, thank you for joining us. Your first time. I hope you'll join us again.
No
She was
problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And she was asking if you could show the last slide again. Maybe she wants to take a screenshot.
Which slide? I need to know which one it is because this is a slide presentation of 204 slides.
The very last one before you had the thank you were talking about ways to take care of your teeth, all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hang on 1 second. This one? This one?
Yes, that's it. That's it. Perfect.
Now, when people call me, hold on, let me tell you something. When people call me, okay, and they ask me things and I'm giving them some kind of advice, I would definitely, if you're going to call me and ask me a question on dentistry or dental health, I'm going to tell you these are some of the things you want to have in your home. Okay? Because I'm going to use either one or several of these to help you. Somebody called me yesterday with a post-extraction and I'm like, okay, what do you have? And I have to use what they have. But I'm going to encourage you to have these kind of things in your home. Okay, there goes the slide.
Okay. And one more
How does
question.
the ice help? That one was, how does the ice help?
Ice?
Yes.
Well, if you have a tooth pain and you have swelling, I'm going to need to help you get that swelling down. And ice is going to be one of your biggest help. So after you get any kind of surgery, they'll give you an ice pack. They should.
Okay. Okay.
So just make sure you have ice at home. I know it looks like silly things and he's like, okay, what is this? And you know, I hear the giggles and everything, and that's perfectly fine. But I definitely want to encourage everybody to take your oral health very seriously. Take it very seriously. I'm not undermining you because I smile too listening to your question, but I want you to take it very seriously because guess what? All of those things is going to come in handy. And these are things we are counseled to have where everybody can have easy access. This is not anything expensive. Now, if you want to go expensive, we can go there, but that is not the work and the function of the medical missionary work. We want to make sure that everybody has access. Let me put this up on the screen again for you because it's absolutely important to have these things.
Okay.
Anybody can have ice. Anybody can have garlic and garlic, as a matter of fact, let me tell you this. It is 3 times stronger than that antibiotics that I mentioned earlier. You need to have these things in your home and do not never ever use garlic raw in your body. Always make sure it's steamed or cooked, okay? But you need these things.
I need to do another presentation on natural remedies because I do have a natural remedies workshop and we talk about all of these. So people need to be aware. Go to the kitchen. The simple things you've got in your cupboard, you can use them. And that's what we promote. And as she mentioned earlier on, the time is coming, you won't be able to buy and sell. What will you do then? What is in your hand? Use it. That was what the Lord said to Moses. So we're telling you what you have in your kitchen, cupboard, learn how to use them. Somebody asked about mercury filling, and then I think that's the last one we're going to take so that we can wrap up for tonight. And we let you guys
I
know
did want to ask a question. I'm at work though, but that's why you hear the noise in the background.
Okay, so yes, Maxine and then Judith. Before you go, Maxine, I see Judith. Judith, I see your
Okay.
hand. Judith, we'll take Judith's hand, then Maxine. Go ahead, Judith.
Hi, good night. I'm sorry, my questions are really quick. So I have a receding gum line and I did a surgery where they went on the roof of my mouth and Arvis took the flesh and then do a patch on the side. But according to the dentist, because of where I went, they were in training, they told me that it kind of helped, but I don't think it helped because I still feel the sharpness, especially when I use my tongue or my finger. It's still the sharpness on the incisor. So would you recommend that I would do that procedure again? Because I find that even when I've done it, when under the roof and they scrape it to get the flesh, I find that sometimes when I use my tongue, it's sensitive.
Okay.
And sometimes it itches.
Okay. So I definitely, how long ago was this done?
This would have been before COVID, like maybe 8 months before COVID.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is, because there's a lot more to that, just by what you said. And I'm going to put my contact in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm just going to ask you to call me tomorrow or.
Yes,
okay?
please.
And I'll tell you exactly how to address that. But whenever I'm just to give a general answer, you guys believe I can't do 3 things at once. I can't think. Okay, so whenever you have a situation like that, go back to the doctor. What it sounds like to me, because you're still feeling that sharpness, is because there's some kind of root exposed and that the gum tissue did not cover everything. They actually cut off a piece of your tissue from the roof of your mouth. So they didn't do any scraping there. They just actually took actual donor tissue is what it's called. Okay.
Right.
And so if you didn't do any type of bone reconstruction there, then it's only going to be but that much. But there are other things that can happen that your body can do to actually close that off itself. So that's what I want you to call me and let me know. My contact is in there. I'm sorry. I totally see because I can't.
Okay, thank you.
Think twice. Hold on. Yes. Go ahead with the next question.
And also the same place I went and I did a bridge and done the bridge. And then I find like in that area, it's kind of sensitive and I have mild toothache. And sometimes I use salt water to gargle or to just soak it, but it goes away and it comes back. So I'm not sure, what I should be doing, or maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do aggressively. I'm not sure.
Okay. Is your name Judith?
Yeah, Judith. Yeah, that's my first name. Yeah.
Can you see my phone number there?
No, I don't. I'm logging in from my
goodness.
phone. I don't see it.
That's the same person, Camille, who is asking the same question regarding the harvesting of the.
Yeah. I did the
She's the
same.
same
Yeah.
person.
So it's.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't see the number.
there. Can you see it now?
Yes, I do. Okay, I'll just take a screenshot quickly. Thank you.
Okay, just give me a call, Judith, tomorrow, and you should be. We'll talk.
I
about
will. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And the last one, Maxine, and then we gotta wrap up. Go ahead, Maxine.
Sorry.
My thing is, I have receded, but it's just like it's like the corner tooth on top. There's like the two to three ones in my mouth at the top, and then I did I don't know if it's root canal. I don't know what they did, but the thing is, they said I have cavity and they have to drill and fill it in. But every time they go in my mouth to clean my teeth, is that my nerves is every time I leave the dentist, my nerve is on edge, even up until now. Because the filling that they put in, I can't even eat any. If I even eat bread with seeds, like Ezekiel bread or whatever, it hurts. It hurts so much. And honestly, because of that, I really don't go to the dentist. I buy Dr. Harry's product and I use them because my mouth is so sensitive. If I
Okay.
brush my teeth, it's sensitive. Drink cold water, sensitive. Hot water, sensitive.
Can we address the matter of sensitivity in the next program?
Okay.
Angela, you're gonna have to bring me back.
Oh, absolutely. You're coming back. So we will address sensitivity in the next program. We gotta go. It's late now. And they remember temperance, one of the 8 laws of health. And
Yes.
the last thing is, I know Janelle asked about mercury filling, what can replace those? She will touch on that as well. We have to allow people to go. It's late where some people are. It's after 9 here in Canada. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Camille, boy, I want to call you doctor. You're so knowledgeable and professional about what you do. And we're so grateful to have this level of presentation here. And it just goes to show that you do a lot of research, and what you do, you have a passion for us having good dental health. So thank you so much. If you could just close off in a prayer, and then we'll just have our final goodbyes.
Okay. You have my contact there. So if you need me to answer a question immediately, because yes, I do need to end here as well. Just give me a call and I would definitely take the time out to talk with you. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for being with us. Please help us, dear God, to learn, because you have given us a mind to understand these things and you want us to take care of each other. And please, dear God, help us. Help us to do what is right in your sight and to bring glory to your holy name by taking care of our bodies. Be with everyone on this platform. Whatever questions they have, I pray, dear God, that they will find the answers. And if it's answers through me, then Lord, use me for your name, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name I pray, and thank you for this opportunity. Amen.
Amen. And do you want to share a little bit about the program that you're preparing, or when you're ready, then when you come back, you'll share it with us so that we can join you in that training that you'll be offering?
Okay, so it will be a training, and the way it's gonna be set up is that you will actually, when you join the training, you will actually get the question and answer, so you can write down your answers, ask your question, I can go through it, because there's actually there's a lot of different specialties in dentistry. And so once I address each of those specialty, based on the research, and I'm doing a lot of research just to make sure that I'm addressing everything. You do not have to be a doctor and able to talk intelligently about how the body works. You just have to do your research. And so when it comes to this, I want to be able to explain to people what kind of materials to look for, what kind of questions do you ask? How do you evaluate if you actually had a good dental appointment? And is the doctor really talking to you, talking at you, over glossing things, so you know exactly what to ask so that you can properly take care of yourself? And then knowing how to naturally take care of yourself at home, because it's going to come to a point where we're not going to be able to buy and sell. So you're going to have dental emergencies. You're going to have to deal with different dental materials. You're going to have to deal with the amalgam films if you already have them, and how to deal with that, and how to take care of your body and detox your body and all of those things. So just hang tight. I'm working on it. And if you need me to come back just to do like a Let's Talk Health, and I can address restorations, because that's where the mercury filling comes in, then I can talk about just that.
Perfect. And what you didn't get to share with us tonight on these slides, we would definitely like you to share them with us next time. So thank you so much again for your presentation, and everyone, thank you for joining us. Those on YouTube, we appreciate you as well. Thank you for joining us. If you have not yet done so, please like, subscribe to our channel, and share this evening's presentation, an interesting and informative one. And we're more wiser now than when we joined this evening.
Amen.
Now, guys, you can unmute yourselves if you want. You can say your hellos, your goodbyes. You can say a word of affirmation to, I almost said doctor because you really speak like a doctor, but you can say a word of affirmation to Camille tonight. We do appreciate it. So it's your turn for you to just say goodbyes as we close off for tonight.
Well, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. And thank you guys again for joining us. If it's your first time, please do not let it be your last. We hope to see you on again on Let's Talk Health. And just remember, or